No, this would start a fire. You wrap it in the toilet paper and, dig a little hole in the gravel.
Right.
Light it on fire and it'll kind of caramelize into a cookie.
That's fascinating.
You will get a lot of the wrapper.
Right. Well, extra fiber. It's good for you.
Yeah, it's if you want to use everything.
Welcome to the In the Field podcast, where we speak to veterans, service members, and those in the transition process to learn about their stories. Good to see you, Jamison.
Good to see you, Holden.
Thanks for joining me. When was the last time you had an MRE?
Oh my God. I bet I had one. Maybe they were serving him in an Army Navy game I went to
And you were just
8 years ago.
Excited to relive the past.
Yeah. It's all the flavors are different now, right?
Everything's different. I think cheese tortellini was there, but the repackaging,
yeah, cheese tortellini.
The recipes are different.
Cheese tortellini was always there.
They've changed the packages. We were talking about this earlier.
Yeah,
I'm not happy about it. I don't like the fact that you can actually see what's in the package. Don't know why they did it.
But it looks like you can open it without.
Well, we can try now. So which MRE did you pick?
Cheese tortellini.
Cheese tortellini. I picked Italian sausage with peppers and onions and marinara sauce, which I don't think I've ever had. They did improve the opening ability. I have a little X-Acto blade if you need help opening it.
Didn't improve it that much.
You were Army. Come on, you should don't get stood up by others.
Yeah, if I pull too hard, I'm going to increase my disability rating.
That's fair. So you have a valid excuse as to why you're struggling.
Cheese tort looks the same.
Yep.
Oh wow.
Our last guest
Nutrition
did
facts.
note that they're not individually packaged in boxes now.
Right.
So
yeah, that was
it's kind of like
a box
choose your own adventure. You have to kind of figure it out.
But you put the heater inside the box, right?
Exactly. Yeah. The important question is, do you want to go heated or unheated? We can do either or. You're the guest.
I think we should go unheated because we're in a small room and
there might be enough ventilation. I want you to have a good experience. I want you to actually enjoy this meal.
Oh my God,
so you tell me. Yeah. So what did you get in yours? I got the main entree,
beverage powder, carbohydrate, electrolyte.
It's actually I love
lemon
those.
lime.
That's one of my favorites. Herb and cheese swirl roll. I have no idea what that is.
I have that too.
Cranberries. These were always really good, actually. I loved any of the dried snack stuff. Were these yours or mine?
So this is a different cheese tort package because before you used to get, I think you used to get a peanut butter, and I'm allergic to peanuts, so I would always I would trade it every single time for more cheese, and I would put extra cheese inside of.
Were you pro or anti jalapeno cheese?
I mean, any type of variety. When you cannot have the peanut, and what is that? That's all of your vitamin D and half of the protein. Yeah.
How was that? In the military, is notorious for you get what you get, don't complain. I mean, there's the famous saying of we won't say on the podcast, we'll keep it PG on what to do with an MRE box. But with a dietary restriction, did you find it difficult?
No, because I hate peanuts and the smell of peanuts. It's not
okay. So
it's
you
not
naturally.
It's not something I'm missing from my life,
right?
And everybody else wanted it. So if I had chocolate peanut butter, I could
usually
usually
chips.
Not at Ranger School, but I could bargain for net positive. I could be give me your cheese plus a dessert.
That's pretty solid.
Yeah, blueberry cobbler, no problem. You can get whatever.
That was a classic.
You can tear it. There's
you
a
can
tab to tear it
so it's
horizontally.
horizontal now.
That's
There's so many innovations when it comes to MREs that I don't want to rehash the same because every podcast is going to be me going isn't this so exciting? But there's so many innovations when it comes to what they've done.
Have you ever made? Doesn't look like they have all the ingredients. Do you ever make a Ranger cookie?
No, I know the Ranger dip. I've been out for.
I call it the Ranger. I don't know if that's exactly
Ranger
what
cookie.
it
Is that creamer and coffee?
Creamer. You take the creamer and the sugar.
Okay.
I think you can pour the creamer into the sugar packet, whichever one was bigger.
Okay.
And they don't have it here. And
I've got a creamer here. We can try doing it.
And then you wrap it in the toilet paper. No, this would start a fire. You wrap it in the toilet paper and, dig a little hole in the gravel.
Right.
Light it on fire and it'll kind of caramelize into a cookie.
That's fascinating.
You will get a lot of the wrapper.
Right. Well,
on the cookie.
extra fiber. It's good for you.
Yeah, it's if you want to use everything.
I randomly got to a random section of TikTok where it was like prison food, which it's very similar to army food in the sense of like you have an MRE and you're just making random concoctions.
Was there always a matchbook?
There was. They're not good. I've tried using them at my home, because of the show. Because like, what am I going to do? Smoke cigarettes like on the?
You would convince people to eat the matchstick heads to keep mosquitoes away.
Well, you got to try something when you're
when I did SFAS like a couple of years after going to Ranger School, and SFAS like at the time was a lot of whatever you call them, SF babies, like the 18 X-rays that went straight from basic training airborne school, like, and like me and any of the other Ranger grads who had like professionally gotten every single possible calorie out of MREs would just be
cranberries.
Oh yeah, would just be like teaching all the young guys like, no, you gotta trade this for that.
Yeah,
like this is how you make. This is how you improve the meatloaf.
How did you enter in the military? Because you went the officer route.
Yeah.
Did you do OCS or not OCS? Sorry.
ROTC?
Did you ROTC? Did you go to the academy?
No, I did ROTC. So I grew up in Massachusetts, and my older sister went to University of Massachusetts. I did too. I was considering going to the Naval Academy in high school, and did not. And then I did ROTC at UMass like from day one, and I got a ROTC scholarship and stuff. There was 6 cadets when I joined. Then there was like 100 when I left, like 4 years later.
Really?
So like 2003 at UMass, my class was 6 cadets, like 2 of them going to the National Guard. And we had some surrounding schools that were part of our cadet battalion. But then like when I was a senior, there was like 100.
Do you credit yourself for starting that initiative to grow by 500%?
I credit the increase. I think I was the only one with a scholarship. And then, 2003 to 2007, by 2007, they were handed out. Like there was like 50 ROTC scholarships.
There's 2 questions.
So we were able to recruit like a football team's college football teams worth of kids.
You thought about going to the Navy Academy. I guess what ultimately helped you make the decision to go to UMass? Was it UMass Amherst?
Yeah, UMass Amherst. My older sister did. In Massachusetts, you can like get free tuition if you score something on a state test.
Yeah.
And I didn't. My parents are Portuguese immigrants.
Yep.
And they were school teachers. But it's funny in my life now, like there's so much of a focus of other people on like striving for the best college you could like get into. That wasn't a thing growing up. My parents were just like, way to go to college.
Yeah.
Let's go to like an affordable one.
Yep.
And like your career path would be like what you make of it, not like what education it is, which is quite true. But I mean, doesn't hurt to like strive.
Well, yeah, I mean, spoiler, right? You end up going to Wharton later.
Yeah, I think
in life,
like maybe some of that was like, oh, I wanna get after it. But like now that I have a daughter, I'm a big proponent of like the public Ivies or whatever. Like I want her to go to like Michigan engineering.
There's been, I mean, UC Berkeley,
right.
Even the Amherst, the UMass systems, right, are some of the best in the country.
Yeah.
There's so many incredible public schools out there. Obviously, there is some level of privilege having, graduated from Wharton, graduating from Stanford, where you have that, check the box on the resume.
Right.
But I think for the vast majority of people, like the benefits of even a community college or a public university is 1, it's more affordable.
Yeah.
2, the network of people you get to meet, and like the professors are always incredible. At least in my experience, some of my best professors were actually at community college, not Stanford.
Yeah, totally.
There was bad ones there too, but the ones that I got, and maybe I was just lucky, truly cared about the students, and they were like, this is a spot where like they were well-educated, well-accredited individuals who were like, I want to be able to bring my experiences to these students, where I think at the bigger schools, you do get a level of like, they're just doing their next, what's it called? Research paper, or
I think that's
just,
right.
Tenured or what have you.
I think that's right. Like I had like state college, like undergrad experience, and then like this Ivy League master's experience. And I got a lot out of Wharton, but I distinctly remember, especially in the first semester when I knew nothing, I was taking like hard finance classes.
Right.
And I knew like, literally nothing about finance. And I remember talking to like vet club guys, and we were just like, like these guys are bad teachers.
Yeah.
Like you like don't understand like crawl, walk, run principles. Like you're just talking off of like slides and like moving on. Like bad. I can't believe that like you can't like convince people to like you haven't come up with a more creative way to get like class engagement. It's just that's
give this a try. This looks very promising.
What is this?
Herb
Cinnamon?
and cheese swirl roll. Good, bad?
It's not bad. I thought it was gonna be sweet. It is not.
It is. When you say swirl roll, you would assume that would be the case. Yeah. Once you get
I want
this
actually try
classic. Oh, you're jumping right into the entree. Max amount of calories.
What do you?
I
do
the
eat around?
nibbling. I nibble on the snacks for. Ooh, this is, I guess, kind of like a stromboli. Maybe it's just because I just ate stromboli a couple days ago. But
yeah,
it's
like
not bad.
It's a bad stromboli.
So jumping back in, so you go to UMass Amherst. You originally thought Naval Academy, but then you did Army ROTC. Was that just because that was the program that was available?
Yeah.
Or did something kind of shift?
There was no other ROTC program at the time. And I think I wanted to be a pilot, like growing up.
Top Gun?
Yeah, probably.
I wanted to be
like a Navy pilot.
Yeah.
And then I don't know, I think we'll probably watch like Band of Brothers or something. I was like, oh, the guys that really do it.
Yeah.
Are on the ground doing stuff. And I mean, I was still going to be an aviator for a while. I was like going to, you like pick you get ranked nationally, and then you like have your list of branches that you want.
Yep.
I picked like aviation, then infantry, then armor, or something like that. And one of the cadre that I really liked, this guy, Captain O, who was infantry, and now he's left to be like, I think he's a doctor, but maybe an Army doctor. And he just like ridiculed me for like going aviation.
Really?
until it was probably like a sunny day.
Right.
And then
he's like, what, you going to be in a air-conditioned helicopter all day?
He's like, you're not going to do anything. And I was like, and I distinctly remember, like, fast forward roughly a year, I was in Florida Phaser Ranger School in like June, and it was so hot.
Yeah.
And it was like the day that, you get like tasked like aviation students from what's now Fort Novacell to come. It was Kiowas to just be like to just do like route recon. So they were just flying around, and they would like they were tossing bags of like food down to us.
Yeah, the Kiowa pilots will do it. Yeah,
hovered like right above us. He has this door open, and he's like looking out, and he's like kind of fanning me off, going back and forth. And I was like, "What have I done?" Yeah. Like I'm like laying down, just like
you could have been him.
like a walking heat casualty.
Yep.
And I'm like, why have I? This isn't bad.
They're good, right?
She's easily the best.
That was always one of the better ones, anyways. So I'm actually excited to see. Let me snag a little.
Yeah, go for it. Probably like better than I thought.
It's not bad. Yeah, it's
not good.
It's giving me Chef Boyardee vibes.
Exactly.
Like that's exactly what it tastes like. Which, if you're hungry or you're out in the field, that's good enough. Did you, when you thought you were going to do aviation, did you have a ideal or like reach? What am I trying to say?
Like
which helicopter did you want to fly? Or
no,
did you
I don't think I did at all. Probably like not a Chinook. I probably thought that was boring.
Yeah.
Probably like an Apache like everybody else.
Yeah.
But no.
As a JFO, I always loved the Kiowa pilots because exactly what you said. If you like worked with them, they'd just fly over you, drop a Gatorade bottle or what have you. I mean, when I learned how they actually aim, like fire a couple rounds, use an oil marker, mark it on their window, and they're like, "Yeah, we got an M4 in the back too if we need it." Like we're just we're figuring it out. I'm like, that's insane. I mean, talk about scrappy. Just a platform that it's not really meant for, or I guess it is, but just bare minimum technology. Kiowa, it's like you got a helmet that moves everything around and all that. Kiowa's like, we got a marker.
There are no more Kiowas, right?
Pardon?
Kiowas are gone, right? Are they still in service?
Oof. I don't know.
I think they're
Maybe.
gone.
We can fact check it. We'll do a little graphic up here in post production.
Yeah, exactly.
And be like, is Kiowa or Kiowa pilots still around?
I remember they were always like at risk.
Yeah, I mean they're an old platform. It's like, but it's also like the A10 for years and years and years.
Right.
People are like, we're gonna get rid of the A10. We're gonna get rid of the A10, and I'm pretty sure, fact checked right here,
right,
that they're still around, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, no real plan to then.
So now, graduate, head out, Ranger school. Was that always the intention, or did you get infantry officer? Then, hey, I want to add Ranger to my contract.
No, I knew I wanted to do that. I was, the squared away people that I had seen before it all gone to like Ranger school. I had a really good friend from high school track that had enlisted and went to like Ranger Regiment, and by the time I had graduated, he'd been in 4 years after I had gone to a 4-year college. So he was, he must have been like almost a staff sergeant or something by that time. And he was like, a mentor, like guidance. He's like, you must go.
Right.
But also at the time, like you could add you could do additional service obligation to like either get the branch that you want,
right,
or the post that you want, and that's how I went to Italy.
Got to the 173rd.
Went to the 173rd, which there was no option to not. If you were going to be like an infantry officer, to like you had to go to Ranger school. I distinctly remember after I had been there a year, this lieutenant showed up and we had like a heroin farewell at the battalion commander's house.
Right.
And he was like, "Say hello to Lieutenant Snuffy."
Right.
Say bye, because he's flying back in like 3 days to go to the next next.
Oh really? He just showed up and I was like, "Hi, bye."
Why did you like fly across the ocean? He just went back immediately. But it was like a year later. You have to do so many courses.
Yeah. And was it? Sorry. Yeah. I mean, I guess it was Ranger Tab because you got sent to the 173rd.
Yeah.
I want to get into this about your experience at the 173rd. But it's funny you mentioned, the Ranger school kind of need that in order to get there. I think that does add a level of professionalism to the unit on the kind of commander level. But on the enlisted side, it was funny. I went, basic training, AIT. Then they had BFIST, which was learning the Bradley fighting vehicle as a forward observer. So you would assume I would get stationed at a like armored unit, heavy, heavy company. I get sent to the 173rd with not even airborne in my contract. So I'm just showing up as a non-airborne qualified BFIST, just learning the BFIST.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, so you're going to be, light infantry. Weirdly, I got sent to Colt, which is the combat observation lasing team, and then got pushed down to the companies for deployment. But I had the weirdest, you would not assume that.
You hadn't gone to airborne school?
No.
Did you go eventually?
I haven't told the story yet.
Okay.
BFIST, 173rd, deployment comes down. We had done already 1 or 2 training rotations in Germany.
Right.
Then a couple months before deployment, they said, are you going to, they were debating, do you go to airborne school or JFO? And they said, well, we're not jumping in Afghanistan. So JFO is like a much more applicable kind of skill to have. So I get sent to JFO school in Ramstein or whatever. A couple weeks later, deploy, come back. I could extend my contract because I had 4 years and I was at my 2-year mark. I could have extended my contract and I would have gone to airborne school.
Right.
But I decided instead to PCS. And so got sent to the 101st and did air assault school instead.
Right.
And all my friends who had 3-year contracts or decided to extend got sent to airborne school, came back. Then all the geopolitics of Ukraine and all that, they did a D-Day reenactment in France, got the French jump wings. They jumped in like Lithuania and Estonia. I might be getting the countries wrong. Got those jump wings and just had an absolute killer time. And I was in boring flat Fort Campbell, Kentucky. Never been more. I'm not salty about it at all.
During my time,
try this too. This is actually legitimately very good.
That?
It's the Italian like meatball and marinara. I don't want to influence you, so give that bad boy a try.
Meatball this is a new one.
It's
relatively, I guess.
Verdict.
No way. It tastes like fake tomato sauce. I don't know what.
Not a fan.
No.
Really?
I think this is way better.
It kind of looks tortellini more than the.
Oh yeah.
Man, that is. I would not have guessed if I had to bet. I'd put my money. I would take this any day of the week.
That tastes like.
Let me try another bite. Maybe I just.
The tomato sauce doesn't taste. It tastes like they use like ketchup.
I could see that. The difference would be that's more Chef Boyardee.
Right.
That's a word. I don't get it on this one.
That
so
tastes,
I'm like, okay with the more like
this tastes like Chef Boyardee. That tastes like
Heinz
the
57.
the SpaghettiOs.
Okay, yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good analogy. So you would take the tortellini.
Oh yeah.
I would do this. But what did you get with the tortellini? Trail mix? Oh, trail mix is good. That's a solid.
Is it? There's got to be a peanut in there.
Yeah.
Pretzels.
Yeah, you probably would be able. What's great is I didn't eat today, so I'm legitimately very hungry, and that might help with my.
I'll give this a whirl. I don't see any. Oh yeah, peanuts.
Yeah.
Gross.
Hate to see it.
Yeah, when I was there, there's all these guys from 173rd that were there for like 10 years and have like a million jump wings, all these other countries. But like when we were there, we didn't jump very much. The opposite, it was just like a year on, a year off.
Yeah.
And so we never needed to like get recertified too quickly to jump with other countries. I got Italian wings.
Nah, that's nice.
But I remember we came back from that deployment and it was like Arab Spring.
Yep.
And there was like talk that we came back in like December and Arab Spring happened like around New Year's. And they were like, you're going to go to Tunisia and set up like a refugee camp or something. And the brigade needs to be like re-qualified like immediately. And so we were like, post deployment leave. And they're like, everybody needs to get back. And like nobody had jumped in so long that like the jump masters are not
just trying to figure.
They're not qualified. They had to like fly them to the 82nd to like do some jumps, kick like two people out the door and come back.
It's the most expensive training exercise.
Yeah, I know.
Like to get.
I mean, having an airborne unit there doesn't make any sense. It's so hard to jump. Like the amount we didn't jump that much, but the amount of times we drove 4 hours to Aviano, and we'd arrive, at sun up.
Yep.
And if it's like too foggy and you can't see like the Alps or the Dolomites, you're like, we're never jumping today.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's the tough. I mean, with where it's located, obviously geopolitically very strategic. For jumping, though, I mean, you're in high elevation and areas where you're like constantly covered in clouds.
There's no place to train. We used to joke that we were like the best those two infantry battalions. Now they're all down in Italy. But when we'd go to Germany to train, we were the most ready to deploy unit because to go to any training event is like packing containers, like getting the Carabinieri to escort you to the Austrian border and then have like the Austrian police because you're driving with like thousands of weapons down the Italian highway. Yeah. And then getting handed off border to border just to go to a normal training area in Germany.
Yeah. So your time at 170, and I can't remember, I think overlapped. Or we just missed each other. So I was there 2011 to 2013, towards the end of 2011.
I was there from 2008 to 2011. So we might have just
right. So we had this conversation. Yeah. And I think we missed each other by just a couple months.
Yeah, it's I mean, I have fond memories of it. Like I'm glad I ADSO'd for it. It's hard for an officer to go because there's at the time there was it's a battalion. So there's 12. I don't know, there's a handful, there's a dozen plus new lieutenants in each of the infantry battalions.
Yeah.
And so when we showed up, it was easy friends. It was whoever was a new butter bar lieutenant Like
Wow.
we had to, like, it was like, oh, hey, you, like, we have to be friends now. Like,
Yeah.
there's no, and I'm still friends with them to this day. I went to Wharton with several of the guys.
Nice. Did you ever go to, I think the restaurant was called Bar Pizza. It was a 5-minute walk right outside of Caserma Ederle. It's like you went down the street, right? And
past like Hotel Mary or whatever it was called. Yeah. Oh yeah.
I would always order a pepperoni pizza and a Hefeweizen was like my go-to order. What was the guy's name?
If you order pepperoni. I
Salamino?
think I found this out at Bar Pizza. A pepperoni is like a roni of peppers. So I ordered it and I got green, yellow, and red.
Yes.
Bell pepper pizza instead of a salami picante. Spicy sausage.
Because it's like Salamino is pepperoni and then salami is another word for it, or salami picante versus
I was stuck in Hotel Mary for like a month because I arrived in August. And like the entire country was on vacation. Yep. And so I couldn't get an apartment. And then I moved downtown and there was a place that we called Pizza Pub. But it had a real Italian name. But it was fantastic. We go all the time. And I just went like 2 years ago to Italy with my wife. We stopped driving through. And I like sought it out. It's gone. It was just pretty. I like walked up and it was just
something.
Nothing. It was just like part of
That's unfortunate. Did you ever go to? It wasn't popular among the Americans, but Villa Bonin, which was like a club.
That
it's like a popular Italian place.
Sounds familiar. There was like 3 places downtown that we would just. I'm sure they hated us.
Wow.
But we would just spend a lot of our money. We had to like 2 o'clock in the morning. As late as that we wanted to stay, they would stay open.
My buddy and I would go there, but they didn't like Americans because apparently we're sometimes a little rowdy.
Yeah.
So we would have to wear like full on suits to be like, we're not going to do anything. We're in suits. So they would let us in. And I think I would like show my, state ID and I would just be like, oh no, I'm a like study abroad. I'm not
totally.
And they're like, look at your haircut. Like,
yeah, I know.
You're clearly, you're clearly in
100%. You drove in a pickup truck here.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
But that was such a fun duty station. So, I mean, moving forward, right, 173rd, then you PCS, or like, what was your kind of
Then
transition?
I did SFAS. I was going to go SF.
Mm-hmm.
I went to MCCC and decided to switch back to infantry branch and just finish out my time.
Yeah.
That's when I started to like plan my transition
6-year contract?
out. 7.
7, okay. Is that standard or was it?
Yeah, so like an ROTC officer is like 4 active. I mean, all officers are like 8 years.
Yeah, same with them.
But like 4 years active, and 4 years something else. Usually it's like inactive, ready reserve. But you add SOD for 3 more. So I did like 7 and 1. And so at that time I had like 3 years left.
Okay.
And I was like, I just want to be. I knew I wanted to like get out, and if I didn't do it then, if I did SF path, it would have been like the minimum I could have done was like 11 or something, 12, and I was like, be in forever. For me, it was I still liked the Army, but I remained single, and like the moving around and like the Army town aspect of it was just I don't know, tough.
I was gonna say, was the intention always kind of like a one and done? Or was the intention, let's see what happens?
See what happens.
See what happens.
Yeah. See what happens. So I switched back. Infantry branch promptly asked the branch manager, like, what were my options? He gave me like several.
Right.
I ranked them. Immediately, he gave me like my last choice.
It was like, why even ask the question?
Yeah. Yeah. I was like, why did we go through this exercise? But it turned out good. I went to Fort Hood. The 1st Brigade at the time was going to Afghanistan. And like it's an armored, combat arms battalion, and like they had never, they had only been to Iraq.
Yeah,
and so I remember I like arrived at the brigade commander as like a junior captain, and he's like, we're going to have. All of the officers are doing like an OPD report on like Wanat.
Yeah.
Because it was near where they were like deploying. He was like, so they're going to do their report and then you'll talk about it. You'll just talk afterwards. this afternoon at like the officers club, and I was like, they gave like their lame like reports where they like hand off, they like read a book or something and had these like lame slides about it, and then he's like, Jamison, go talk, and I was like, hey, entire brigade, like
Were you a captain at the time?
Yeah, I'm Captain Periera. I was going there to take company command, but it usually like I was on brigade staff waiting for a slot, and then I just started answering like the questions that could only come from people that had only been in like a desert,
right?
Because they're just like, why didn't they go up? Why are they down in the valley? They should go like up the mountain,
get the high ground.
Get the high ground. I was like, well, their mountains are like very tall,
right?
Like they're like hours,
right. It's not a hill.
Yeah, like you won't believe it. You won't believe how long it takes to.
You gotta love when you start discussing very complex things. I mean, it's always well intentioned, but I talked to some of my civilian friends, right? And they're like, "Oh, you deployed to Afghanistan." It's like, so what's the solution? Like,
yeah.
One, I was enlisted, way above my pay grade. But then two, like, what do you mean? Like, there's no simple solution here. If there was, like, we would have solved it.
There's no solution that can fit on one slide or in like one news segment. Like especially on my first deployment, my friends would, from growing up, like, did you see this on the news?
Yeah.
About Afghanistan? I'm like,
what are you going to do about it?
I'm like, no, I didn't. That was like another part of the country. I have no idea that it happened.
Right.
Like it didn't affect me.
Yeah.
Like this is like a valley to valley problem.
Yeah.
And like it's
different.
It's a different problem for like Marshall's Valley, like three valleys down, than it is for this one.
Yeah.
And there's hundreds to thousands of them across the country. Like the one size fits all, like easily briefable solution is not.
You just gotta do this. You just gotta get the high ground.
Right.
You just get on top of
You
the
just
mountain.
gotta. What was the? Like you just gotta do that certain type of like money. It was like the
coin, or you're talking about coin, or
there was like a segment of like if anything was like less than 5 or 10K or something, anybody could sign off on it. It was like the lieutenant could sign
like
off
if
on
we
it.
need to do this,
and they were like, let's do like
9,000
of these, and we like asked the Afghans like, we could give us your list of like the provincial governor, like what do you want to make?
Yeah,
and you'd come back from this list. Then it was like he wanted to build like a volleyball court in his like backyard and like set up like a cricket course. Like these were the wrong answers. The correct answer was pave the road.
Yeah.
and like
supply chain
concrete irrigation. That was the correct answer.
Did he get the volleyball court though?
No. We took it, we rewrote it for him.
It's unfortunate. Some guys out there just going, what could have been volleyball court in the
exactly.
Pool.
So I did that, then deployed again.
Okay.
And took command downrange. And I had been planning to like go to business school, started studying and stuff
Did you study while deployed?
Yeah, it might have been right before. And while, I think I did like an interview. Like,
wow.
Because I was.
If anything goes wrong in that interview, I mean, I feel like that's instant street cred, or like they have to kind of accept you.
No, I came back, but I came back like late.
Okay.
And got out. My 7 years was pretty soon thereafter.
What was that like? There's always, regardless if a deployment goes as smoothly as possible or as kind of badly as possible, there is that kind of transition process of like going back to the kind of quote unquote real world. Yeah. But then on top of that, not just going to your unit, but then ETSing out, getting into school.
It was. I think I came back in December or January, and then like school doesn't start until August. So it was like definitely I didn't know what I was doing next because I hadn't gotten in anywhere. Yep.
So you got out before you got your acceptance letters.
I had. Yeah, it was a bit of a risk because I had said that I was getting whatever you have to give like 9 months or a year or something as like an officer. I had to like say that I was getting out for. So I was like, I'm going to get into someplace.
Right.
I'm going to get out.
How many schools did you apply to?
Like 6 or 7. And then I got into Wharton off of the wait list. Nice. So in round 2 of places, I was I was like applying round 2 of places that I just like canceled.
You got
Yeah,
got
I'm not applying to I think it was like Chicago and someplace, maybe like Northwestern. I was like, I didn't know any of the schools.
Right.
Like what, like.
So how did you pick? Was it just kind of throw some darts on the map,
A guy that I
or
was in
you had
Italy
an
with,
idea?
2 guys that I was in Italy with. One had gone to Wharton 2 years ahead of me, and then one year ahead of me.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, which ones did you apply to?
Right.
Like, I'm gonna give it to me. I'm gonna do this.
I feel like, I mean, I guess I did a similar. I knew I was going to do community college. So I guess I had a little bit more time during those 2 years. But then through the Warrior Scholar Project and then Service to School, shout out, Instagram handles there, website handles there. They really helped kind of like demystify what schools to apply to. I think I did 8. I think I applied to Penn. They rejected me. Duke rejected me. But I did the classic, like, couple safe schools, couple reaches, and everywhere in between.
Yeah, I went purely off of other people's recommendations. I mean, I knew like what Harvard. I'm from Massachusetts. I knew like of Harvard.
Avid.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, honestly, like the reason why I did not have like a stellar undergrad academics or anything like that, but like at Wharton in particular, the admissions and I did it when I was there. Like they would take the, recommendations of the vet club, would like look at vet applicants and be like, oh, this resume, because to the admissions people, the folks, like
it all becomes the same.
Like all of the resumes look pretty impressive. Like everybody's led somebody in their 20s, and like most of the other students haven't. They all have had lots of responsibility. So if you craft it right, we would help them like sort through. So like I got to know vet club guys, and then I did this. I was like the VP of like vet recruiting, I think, there or something, in my second year.
So get into Wharton. When did you hear back? I guess give me the timeline. So you get out December, you said, or somewhere around there.
Well, I got back from a deployment in December, and then I think I ETS'd. I gave up command in like March or April, and then
May, June, July, August, 4-ish months.
Then I had and then I think I ETS like soon thereafter.
Okay. And you were in Fort Hood, so you went Texas, out to Pennsylvania.
Yeah, exactly.
Straight to school. I guess maybe a little buffer. I mean, I guess you have fun on you.
I had buffer. Took vacation like in between. And then Wharton starts like pretty early.
What'd you do for vacation?
I like sailed to the Mediterranean. I learned how to sail in the Mediterranean.
Yeah,
I like went back to Europe.
It's on my bucket list.
Yeah, it was
like around you can do like from Turkey or from Greece or a few other places.
Right.
Like 5-7 days or whatever on the sailboat or
2 months.
You did 2 on a sailboat.
On and off, but a lot of it living on the sailboat.
Man,
I mean, it was like really learning how to like skipper and sail. Yeah.
How many berths? That little living.
Oh,
you were thinking about joining the Navy. Come on, this is why you didn't get in the Navy.
Yeah, Academy. Exactly. There was on the trading boat. It was like a monohull, 45-foot.
So decent. That's decent size though.
Big, yeah. There was probably 8-9 of us.
Okay. Just random people.
Random people. I had gotten. I found like a skipper academy thing.
Were you married at the time or
no? Totally single. Met my wife
on the sailboat
at Wharton. At Wharton.
No, that's incredible. I think
I always wanted to know how to sail. Like I grew up in a coastal Massachusetts town, and like never knew there was like a sailing team in high school, and I was like, what? Like, how do you guys know how to do any of this? So I don't know. It was cool.
I felt like having grown up in Mass. I mean, I was in Central Mass, so not near the water, but I mean, I feel like close enough, right? I mean, 45 minutes away. And so when I lived in Cambridge, me and my now fiance picked up sailing, got our like ASA 101, and so we did the Boston Harbor and all that. It's so much fun, and once you learn it, it's still complicated. It's easier than I think most people think it is.
I think once you learn, you can take a boat out, like be confident doing things, but then you realize like how complicated it is, and you like become. For me, it was like, okay, now like I know how badly things can get.
Oh yeah,
messed up. Like then you become like risk adverse. We're like, we're not going that far away. We're not going to like go into a busy harbor. We're not going to yada yada. It was, if this is not somebody else's boat, if I have any liability with this thing, like it could get. I mean, because we got into a bad storm, and it was like professional, like ocean, like
right,
real,
yeah, like blue water, like
the instructors were like, lifelong ocean crossers and blah blah blah, and like it's like if this, I could have messed this up so much worse.
Right,
like you just become.
Did you feel like you're now an honorary sailor in the Navy? The fact that you've learned how to sail?
No,
is that how it works? There?
I mean, I still think it'd be very cool to be a pilot, but I'd have too much.
Yeah. Have you ever thought about getting a private pilot's license or anything like that?
Yeah, but never did. I think like it's both expensive, and the only way that you can realistically do it is if you like live next to like a small municipal airport. I live in Brooklyn. Like, what am I gonna do?
You're not trying to fly out of JFK or whatever. Apparently, there's one out of Jersey, but if you're coming from Brooklyn, you then have to cross all of Manhattan, go into Jersey, and then it's like still.
Yeah, like I considered it like as I was finishing up my time at Fort Hood, there was a small airport, maybe like Georgetown, Texas, and it was still like a half an hour drive, and I was like, "What am I?" I'm like, "How am I fitting this into my? How can you possibly fit this into my schedule? Like all the commuting and stuff, like each week. Like it's if you live like next door, you have to go so much, or it's going to take you like years."
Yeah, I mean it's. I'm gonna misquote it. 45 or 80 hours, and then like pilot, and then you got your solo flights and checkouts, and then if you want to actually be able to fly on like any conditions, you need your instrument rating and all that. Like just like go back in the military and like try to get the government to pay your.
Like it's probably way easier just.
Exactly. I'm still slightly bitter that my recruiter talked me out of doing the like high school to warrant route because that was around. Apparently, when I was graduating high school in 2011, or this was maybe 2010, when I was talking to him, and he was like, just like do it when you get in. That, of course, never happened. But would have been nice to have somebody else pay for.
Everybody loves just giving up JFOs. They're just like, sure, we don't need you anymore.
Yeah, it's fine. So Wharton, you meet your wife, MBA. How was it? I mean,
it was great for me. I know that, and I was advising. I did like as service to school as like an advisor. So I think it's how I met Tim and our mutual connection. And like, it was. I mean, I knew nothing going into it. Like
I was gonna say,
I was like computer
when was the last
science.
Time you were in school?
Undergrad. It had been 7+ years. Yeah, and. So like I was, especially most of the time in college, I was like definitely going to go into the Army. And so in the first like finance classes, I was like, what are we doing? Like, what are we talking about? Right. So like, I had a very, drinking from the fire hose,
right? Especially
since, again, like on the advice of those guys that went to school before me, I was like, I'm going to recruit investment banking for summer internship because if you don't intern in it, you can't do it full time, and like you can't switch the second year. So like, let's do this and not close any doors. And like, I guess bankers make like lots of money. Like, let's go. And so like, you start like recruiting for it like 2 months after you arrive.
It's insane. I mean, it's a full like year and a half that they start recruiting, and apparently it's getting faster and faster.
Yeah, and so like me and a couple like two or three other vets that were also like doing it. We would take the train to New York to go to these interviews and like helping each other prep for interviews, like the technical interviews and stuff. And so I did that like immediately, got an internship and learned a lot, and learned I did not want to do investment banking. Yeah. But like it was funny. I did it at like a boutique Guggenheim Partners, and I happened to be on like I was good at it. I think just because I can deal with like the suck fest.
Oh, it's horrible.
Of like staying awake. I worked like every hour of the summer, but I was on like the biggest deal of the summer. I still have like the Wall Street Journal.
That's nice.
Like cover page from that day. It was like this giant $30 million deal. And it was funny, like the MDs that, they come to like give out offers, and they're like, here's an offer, like you did a good job and like a big deal, like way to go, and you might work your entire career and never do like one as big or as fast as furious, like in like less than 2 months. And I was like, okay, then I guess I'm done, because I don't want to do that. Why would
achieve the pinnacle of success? So you're just like, check that box, I can do something else.
So yeah, I switched to consulting and worked at Bain.
You had brought up at the kind of very beginning of the conversation, right, of the well, I guess I brought it up as well. The kind of the ritz and glamour of a Wharton, a Stanford, the kind of name recognition that those provide. Yeah. Similarly, right, in the investment world, Guggenheim, very, very well known. Right, you have that on the resume. That opens up doors, but you're miserable.
Yeah.
How do you balance that, or how did you think about that balance between this sucks, but it's also going to set me up for that like long-term success of people aren't going to question my capabilities, with the kind of quote unquote doing what you love?
I think that for me, it's never been that those scales are like heavily in my head, are just like so heavily weighted towards like doing what you love, and like you'll be okay. Like,
right.
You like maybe there was like much more riches or something down this other path, but like I've been happiest when I was just traveling the world and doing stuff. So I've never been like that. Like people that balance it out, I'm just like, to me, it's like, well, I didn't like that, so why would I like continue to do it? I have like a limited amount of days of this like planet. Like that just like, to me, that was just like, that's not like a path I could go down. I'll go crazy. So I just like didn't do it. It wasn't as I didn't have a family at the time. I wasn't like thinking about like, being a breadwinner, taking care of things. Yeah. So I remember like Guggenheim was like contacting me over and over again. Like, what is going on? Like, why don't you want this?
Right.
Offer but I just don't want to do that. Why would I? I didn't like it.
Yeah.
Like if it all goes to tears, I'll just go be like a mountaineering, a guide. Yeah. A mountaineering guide or something. I'll be happy doing that. Like, why would I? I know like for some people that's like a difficult decision, and like now that I have like a family and a daughter, it would be totally different, but at the time I just didn't.
I'll push back on a little bit,
yeah,
because you said you kind of do what you love and all that, but ROTC, Ranger School, 173rd, deployments, Wharton, Guggenheim, even consulting, right, to a large extent can be very challenging. So there seems to be this dichotomy or juxtaposition of you're doing what you love, but seem to consistently put yourself in pretty like austere environments, or at least give yourself a fairly substantial challenge.
Yeah, I think I gravitate towards, what is it, type 2 fun? Like
fun in the future,
fun,
like kind of
looking back on it. Yeah, it'll be like fun. Like I don't like to like give up on things. I don't like to like quit. I want to like, if there's these challenges that I have, like I remember when I started investment banking recruiting, like I didn't know like what Goldman Sachs like was.
Right.
And I'm like starting and I'm like, this is a total mystery. It's a total something that's completely out of my wheelhouse comfort zone. Let's just go dive in and see what it's like.
Right.
And then once I had felt that I had done it, I was like, okay, let's just move on to the next one. And consulting was the same. I didn't like love consulting.
Right. Where were you?
It was really at Bain.
At Bain. And then did you do it like a 2-year, or?
I was there for 3 years.
3 years. Okay.
And like it was a similar thing. It was like, oh, people say this is challenging, hard, rewarding. You learn a lot. So just go like see. And see, I don't know. I think a lot of vets are like this. I don't gravitate towards like comfort. Like the idea of a challenge is exciting in and of itself. To a certain extent, for me, banking was like less of. I had done it, and I was like, okay, so all of the deals will be like this. Legally, it's like for legal reasons, it's a very like rote, repeatable process. Yeah. Like they can't just go off on a whim and decide like, we're going to give our valuation opinion. We invented a new way today.
Yeah.
Because they're going to get like, people are paying them to give the valuation so that company could, if they get sued by shareholders, could be like, we thought it was a fair price because these professionals said it was a fair price. We've pay them 2% so that they take on the risk of like the
not holding
valuation.
the
And for
bag
them,
of-
it's just like we have to be able to say that we've followed a tried and true process. So the idea of like this rote repeatable thing that was both not like it didn't seem like a fun, exciting challenge anymore. So moved on to
bigger
consulting, which wasn't that
which is
different.
also somewhat a rote repeatable practice of establishing the same frameworks.
Turned out to be that way, yeah.
Was that just kind of trial and error, or was there anything in particular about consulting that you're like, this is the thing that's drawing me to it?
I still didn't know what I wanted to be.
Yeah,
when I grew up.
I mean, consulting
a year
is probably the best
yeah.
way to go when you go like, I don't know what to do. Like, it gives you so much exposure.
I did know I wanted to be like an entrepreneur,
right.
but I did not feel confident to like go try doing that yet. Right. I still, starting my second year, I was still like a novice at business. I could just like get stuff done in banking. Like I could just learn a new skill and just like go and figure it out and do it. But I still didn't have the confidence. So I was like, oh, everybody says that you can learn a lot in consulting in a short amount of time and see a lot of different things. And that was true. So went after that again was like without the goal of like doing it forever.
Having gone to Ranger School and being a veteran, were you the veteran in the office like, this reminds me of when I was in the jungle, a little bit of Copenhagen Straight? Or how much did the military help you in the civilian world? Another way to kind of ask that question is, do you think it's more your personality that's driving these decisions, or were there specific things that the military taught you that helped you kind of achieve greatness or achieve these kind of big lofty goals that are quite difficult in the civilian world?
Yeah, I think the military definitely helped. I think that there's this aspect of like, well, if I don't, most people didn't accomplish X because they gave up.
Right.
That's definitely true in like the startup world. Like the vast majority is just like, like Y Combinator always says, like being a startup founder is just like surviving long enough to be lucky. Yeah. And I mean, who knows that like better than veterans? Just like if you just don't quit, if you just like outlast the enemy or like the competition, like you will have some degree of like success. And so it's not something I consciously think about. Like, like at the workplace, but if you're just like, wow, this is challenging, we'll just have to like keep grinding it out. Right. And like, I think there's that. And I think as I started to like manage people at Bain, I would try to like pass this on to them that there's just like, don't be afraid to like learn. If you don't know a skill, if you're actively doing something and you're like, this is new and different to me, just stop and like figure it out.
Yeah.
Like people would constantly like shy away from it. They'd be bad at Excel, they'd be bad at like modeling or something. And it would be like this shying away from it. And I would just sit down let's just stay late and invest in this so that you're faster tomorrow.
Yeah. Like watch a YouTube video.
Like you're not going to, like this is going to compound.
Yeah.
In the future. Like I remember being in an office, like actively showing shortcuts to like a new Bain analyst.
Well, you can't use your mouse. You'll be shunned from the office if you use your mouse with Excel.
Going through it, and I was like, I feel like an NCO with a new private is just like stay because like I don't want to deal again with you unable to like use this radio tomorrow. And you just like instill that like the teams that I manage and like instilling that to juniors so that like they have that as a mindset that they can just like figure out like what they.
How often did you knife hand them while trying to teach them?
I didn't carry that many like veteranisms into civilian life. I did have a bunch of like Bain like these like 2 or 3 that were working for me that were curious, and I would tell them like they got a real kick out of that we were doing whatever the battle drill is. It's like react to contact.
Oh.
And it was like the client's gonna like call us with some like harebrained thing. I was like, yeah, we got to do like battle drill like 4 or whatever it is. Like react. And they're like, what is? I was like, what do you do? React to contact. I was like, you throw grenades and just like run right back at them.
Yeah.
So you charge right back at them, whatever the hell you're supposed to do. And like, I don't know, they got like a kick out of it.
Showing up in camo pants. Like, let's go.
The client's asking for something stupid. Like, let's go nuts. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where, I mean, the answer is we never know, right? But like nature versus nurture, there's clearly a specific type of person or archetype that goes into the military, and it can be very wide ranging. People join for a variety of different reasons. From that, I'm always curious of whether or not it is just you're inherently this type of person who seeks these difficult things. And so when you get out, it's inherently going to be that you do these fantastic things, or if there's specific kind of military training that ingrains it. Because, and to kind of answer my own question, I didn't have that growing up. I didn't have that drive. I didn't think I could push myself or try hard on things. And because of the kind of training of the military, it instilled that mindset. But I don't know if I always had it.
I think that's definitely true.
Yeah.
For me too. Like, again, like immigrant parents that were, it's a heavy like Portuguese immigrant community where I'm from. And like my parents like really valued like stay in your local community, hard work, in like blue collar jobs. And I aspired to be like something besides that. And I think the military, like it wasn't like some specific piece of training. It was like interacting with like different peers that did have that in their lives. And they're like, well, you'll be able to just accomplish. Like I remember talking to a captain that was in my small group at MCCC when I decided to, and he's like, I'm going to get out and go to Stanford, HBS, or Wharton. Like, I don't know what the hell those are. And he's like, and I was like, oh, that's cool that you'll be able to accomplish that. He's like, they love like junior military officers. Like you'll be able to get in too. And I was like, oh, it was like the first time I was like, okay. So for me, it wasn't training. It was just being inspired by like the other inspiring people that are exposed to the other inspiring people that you find.
Yeah. I mean,
your peers in the military.
I grew up in a very middle class family. Like the classic like middle class suburbia America was my upbringing. And the nice thing about the military, to some extent, there is like a cohesive military, but on the other hand, it's not a monolith whatsoever. And you have people from all walks of life. So being able to learn from those individuals, oh, I can do that. I can do this. Totally. This sounds like a military recruiting ad. But just like, I mean, through my experience, like, oh, I could do like green to gold. I could go to West Point, but also like, if that's an opportunity, what other opportunities do I have? And like, let me explore that.
Yeah. Totally. It does make you feel like you can do anything.
Yeah.
If you don't get sucked into like, if you're able to break out of like your comfort zone afterwards, because there's people that like want to get comfortable with like the military like routine and like doing jobs in that area, but it gives you the wherewithal to be able to go do whatever you want if that's what you want to do.
We're coming up on time, but I want to hit on a few more things. After Bain, you start your first startup.
Yeah.
That actually gets acquired.
Yeah.
Talking again about like doing what you love, but always being uncomfortable. Probably the most difficult thing to do is startups. What was that journey for you from inception to kind of acquisition?
Yeah. I had like an entrepreneurial itch at Wharton, but didn't feel like confident doing it. I had at Bain, I got like more confident that I could go do something not on my own. Like I'm somebody that thrives with like collaboration, other input. So like I had this harebrained idea to make like, like these like to capitalize on like sustainability trends and like noticing things with my wife and her friends about how they care so much about home decor. So I made like a sustainable like consumer product startup called Eddie. Yeah. But like I had the idea, and ideas are a dime a dozen, and I spent a long time just like finding a co-founder that could like go through it with me, like a battle buddy that could go through it with me. Found one in Sarah, who also worked at Bain.
Yep.
And we started it, and then there was a global pandemic.
Always fun.
And so like trying to make physical products when you can't travel or do anything, you can't go be the classic founder like sitting on the factory floor in China or something, like can't do anything. It was sending things across the ocean. So but worked hard, launched it, and then I got acquired pretty like about a year after we launched.
That's incredible. Was your co-founder a veteran or just?
No, she wasn't.
Okay.
No, she was just she worked at Bain. She worked in at like talent agency in LA prior to. She was just both like she had just like a different skill set from me. She like knew more about like marketing and like publishing and stuff like that than I had zero idea. So I was like finance operations.
Yeah. I mean, fill in the
guy.
deficiencies, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, what do you need? What are you good at? Find somebody who
Totally.
do the things that you aren't. I mean, I think it is important. One of the, and this is a blanket statement, one of the, not issues, pitfalls or something I warn people in the transition process is oftentimes it's they seek out the veterans club, they seek out their veteran buddies, which is great and fantastic, and you should 100% do that. But then it becomes this insular thing where it's I'm not going to talk to my fellow classmates who aren't veterans, or I'm in this job and I'm just going to be in the kind of vet but after getting out, some of the biggest doors that were open to me were from just regular civilian, friends who have good backgrounds or experience or whatnot. Like, I mean, the vet network has 100% really, really helped me. But at the same time, and to an equal extent, like regular, ordinary individuals, and trying to balance that and saying like, hey, we all just have different backgrounds. And like, 100%. Let's bridge those things together.
100%. I think like you want to like lean on your like veteran background, all like the great things that you learned while you were in. You want to. I struggled with it, and I see like I do a decent amount of like advising for people that leave business schools and stuff like that. Like we all struggle with being like our own like self advocate, like being too humble with all the things that we like accomplished. Like I have looked back at like the resumes that I put together like out of business school, and it's like compared to what I write today about what I did in the military, and it's like you try to write like OER bullets or NCOER bullets where it's like so bland compared to like you have to be your own self advocate, but you also you can't be like too, you can't let the pride of it like get into like arrogance. Like there is a civilian ally that you could like work with that values the same thing, like values like really hard work and like accomplishing big dreams. They just did it in like banking or something. They just did it in an entirely other sector, and like that job wasn't dangerous, but it was still hard. It was it was brutally hard actually. Like they and I don't know. Like I feel like a lot of times we can have lost like a little bit of. You should hold like civilians in like high regard and like have like respect for what they accomplished, just because it wasn't like a life and death situation. Didn't require like sacrifices of their time or whatnot to like accomplish it.
Exactly. I mean, so much of the military are soft skills, right? Like, I mean, as a JFO, what am I really translating in terms of like hard skills? I'm not on the radio day to day, but it's the soft skills, and you can develop those in a myriad of different ways. And one way isn't better than the other. It's different, right? And to your point, right? I mean, again, being on the trading floor, being an IB or whatever, or even just like being really academically strong your entire life and getting into a good undergrad, like, you're not in danger, but at the same time, like that doesn't discount the kind of achievements you've made.
There's so many civilians that I've come across that I've said to myself, like, you would be like a fantastic, like at all different levels, like either like, juniors as individual contributors that would be like listed, like you're a mentor, like, father figure, you'd be like a great like NCO, you're like a well-organized, visionary, like you'd be a great officer, like up and down. They just chose a different path. Like if they had chosen yours, they might have like outperformed you. Like
exactly,
especially if they were like some college athlete or something. There's all of these. It's because when I was transitioning, like I would look at civilian jobs and be like, what do you do at work? Like, what are you doing? How could you be? What do you mean you work this many hours? What is there to do for all of these
Aren't you
hours?
just sitting around waiting to get dismissed? No, there's a lot. There's so many things that we can talk about. We're coming up on time. What are you doing now? I know a lot of it is pretty secret, but plug whatever you want to plug. What are you working on? What's next?
After I sold the company, I wanted to like get back into coding, like software engineering, what I was doing like in undergrad, and I used VA benefits to we took the same full stack academy coding course. I took it at a different time, and then I was taking some Stanford AI courses just to like satisfy curiosity. And now I've been with 2 other co-founders working on the next venture, which is like defense tech and like autonomous logistics.
That's
like
exciting.
our most challenging thing that I faced in Afghanistan was like getting to like really severe firefights, like in some remote valley, and then like being black on ammunition, like being impossible to get stuff to us. So we're working on how to solve that, like how to get
you on the high ground, get you on top of the mountain,
keep pilots out of harm's way, but also get stuff to us when we need.
That's incredible. I mean, second time around, hopefully slightly easier. Learn from your mistake.
More confident, yeah,
and more confident.
Easier. Yeah.
Jamison, great chatting.
Great chat with you, man.
Thank you so much.